After going through the accountability of electrons under the topic formal charge, I welcome you all for the today's topic. In the today's topic, we are going to discuss and learn characterization of electrons which are involved in the formation of a bond. A bond is nothing but electron. Whether electrons have transferred or shared, that is separate. But once the electronic transaction is over, whatever attachment is there between the atoms, that is called bond. Now, every bond is explained on certain grounds, and they are called as bond parameters. And these bond parameters are nothing but characterization of electrons which are involved in the bond. It is also called molecular geometry. Geometry, what we learn in the class on the blackboard, is at the macroscopic level, at the larger level. But because molecules and atoms are very small, we have to understand length, angle, all those at the macroscopic level. That's why it is called as what? Geometry at the microscopic level or molecular geometry. Now, if a school authority wants to decide best boy or a best teacher, then there are some parameters. On the parameters, they decide this boy is adjudged as the best boy, or this teacher for this year is adjudged as the best teacher. So they are called parameters. One more example for the parameters. Among all the fuels, it is the LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, butane, is the best cooking gas, best cooking fuel. Why? Because it will satisfy certain parameters. What are those parameters? It has got large calorific value. That means it gives sufficient amount of heat energy. Second is, it is readily undergoes combustion in less time. It gives no residue. It pollutes less. It is easy to store. It is easy to transfer. Its ignition temperature is very, very low. All these parameters will help human beings to go for the cooking. Wood will give ash. We have to cut the tree and we have to clean the ash. So it is the LPG because of certain parameters adjudged as the best fuel. In the same way, for a bond also there are some parameters. So today's topic is what? Today's topic is on bond parameters, which will explain about the characterization of electrons which are involved in the formation of what? Covalent bond. This is what? Diagrammatic representation of a bond. This is a bond. So two clouds are merged. They have reacted. Bond is formed here. We draw imaginary line between this center and this center. That is called bond length. And this is called bond angle. So all those you have to study today. So once again, I welcome you for the today's topic. And the today's topic is bond parameters. Totally, we have four bond parameters so that we can easily explain a particular bond. And those four parameters are bond length, bond angle, bond enthalpy, and bond order. All these are bond parameters. So let us learn one by one. First, we'll go to the bond length. In two bonded atoms in a molecule, the average distance between the centers of the bonding atoms is called bond length. Therefore, it represents internuclear separating distance of the atoms which are bonded in a molecule. Let us see the figure. So, these are imaginary atoms, okay, which have bonded. Okay, they have gone for the some electronic transaction. Here, we are discussing all these bond parameters, keeping in mind covalent bond. Okay, so they have shared electrons and bond is formed, covalent bond is formed. Now what is bond length here? Bond length is, it is the average distance between the centers of the bonding atoms. Why the word average is used here? See, here in this picture we see these two atoms, but in actual practice these atoms are actually, they are not static, they are vibrating, they are highly energetic, they are highly dynamic. So they always keep vibrating on their mean positions. That means, so because of this movement of these atoms, we can't get exactly whether this is the bond length or sometimes small gap here. This is the bond length. That's why it is the word average, because atoms are highly vibrant, because atoms are highly active, because atoms are highly energetic, spontaneous. Therefore, even in the bonded condition also they keep moving, small movements. Therefore, they check these bond length under different conditions, under different areas, under different possibilities. Then they come to the conclusion that this is the average bond length taken, and that is the bond length for that molecule. That's why he is using the word what? Average. Using various methods like electron diffraction, X-ray diffraction and spectroscopy, we can calculate bond length. Earlier, it was very difficult to calculate the bond length, but now we have highly sophisticated instruments and devices. Using those in the higher class, we can aram say note down the bond length when the two electron clouds merge each other. Each atom in bonding pair has its significance in bond length as it depends on both of atoms radii. This is very important. See, carbon with chlorine, one bond, there is a one bond length. Carbon with oxygen, carbon with nitrogen. So carbon is combined with three or a variety of different atoms. So carbon behaves differently in different conditions. So that's why we have to take bond length of all the bond length formed by the carbon with different atoms. Then we have to take the average. That is the bond length made by the carbon with different atoms. That is the meaning. So it depends upon with what type of atom it is combining, what is the chemical atmosphere present during the combination. All those matters ultimately, after the formation of the bond, after the formation of a molecule, we will go for the calculations. When the formation of covalent bond takes place, the contribution from each atom is called the covalent radius. This already we learnt in the periodic table. The bond length in a molecule is expressed as R equal to R1 plus R2. What is R1? R1 is the radius of the one atom. R2 is the radius of another atom. These two atoms may be same or different, depend upon the condition. So total together is called as what? Bond length. This is explained here. Okay, same formula. Now example. For example, the OH bond length in ethanol is the sum of the covalent radii of H and the O. That is 37 plus 74 equal to 111 picometers. Okay, it is usually expressed in picometers or nanometers or angstrom units, which are very small units. Okay, see, the OH bond length in ethanol is the sum of the covalent radii of H and the O. What is the covalent radius of the O, center of the O to the outermost electron? What is the distance between the nucleus and the last electron? So these two are taken, that is called covalent radius. Those two are added, that is the bond length of OH. Okay, that is the meaning of this statement. So here he has given converting factor that already we learnt in the first chapter under the basic concepts. The covalent radius is the distance between a core of atom which is in contact with the core of another atom in bonded state. Okay, means if H and O have combined, so I already told from the center, core is called center of the nucleus of the O to the outermost, center of the H with the outermost electron of H, that is called covalent radius. In atoms bonded by covalent bonds, covalent radius is defined as half of the distance between the atoms. That means when two atoms are joined, take the total bond length, its half is called as what? Covalent radius of a, it is taken as average. While the total size of the atom, including its valence shell in a non-bonded situation, is called van der Waals radius. This is different radius. Van der Waals radiation means what? When the two molecules comes in contact with each other, how much close they can come? 2H2. How much 2H2 can come close to each other? How much 2Cl2 come close to each other? They will not react. That is the closest approach of the two chlorine molecules. The closest approach of the two H2 molecules. When they approach closest, whatever distance is there between the two molecules, that is called van der Waals radius. Where we use this one, we use using the van der Waals radius, how much close they can come, how much closely they can go for the packing. If too much close is there, they will go for the solid state. If little away from the closest approach, they go for the liquid or the fluid. Then too much freedom is there, they go for the gaseous state. So van der Waals radius is so important that from the van der Waals radius we will come to know the physical state, but they are not in the chemical state. What I mean chemical state, that means it is in the non-reacting condition. Only they will approach, they will not react. 2Cl2 will approach closely, 2N2 will approach closely, but not reaction. When they approach physically closely, that time how much close, depend upon the close, we can tell that it is a solid, liquid or the gas. So van der Waals, he has done a lot of research work on the radius and the bonding, and he was awarded Nobel Prize for this. Okay, so it is one of the intermolecular forces of attraction. Okay, that we learn in the next chapter. So there are two radii. One is covalent radii, other one is van der Waals radii. Covalent radii means what? It is within the molecule. For example, H2, what is the distance? That is the covalent radii. Whereas van der Waals radii is what? Between H2 to one more H2 or H2 to Cl2. When two molecules approach to the closest area, that distance is called as what? Van der Waals radius or the van der Waals distance.